Should GMOs be labeled? Presented by Mackenzie Blackburn. Genetically modified organisms are organisms that have been modified to have more desirable traits, such as herbicide resistance, using genetic engineering techniques to alter the DNA. The term GMO is interchangeable with genetically engineered, or GE. GMOs are used in more than just the agricultural industry, like to create medicinal products, but for the purpose of this presentation, we are focusing on the food industry. GE corn, soybean, canola, sugar beets, and cotton make up about 90% of the crops grown in the U.S. In July of 2016, the National Bioengineered Food Disclosure Standard was signed into law. This allows for the USDA to set a standard for disclosing the use of bioengineered products in human food products. The NBFDS will overrule laws already set in place in states like Vermont and Connecticut. The rules as to what will require a label are not yet set, but are supposed to be finished by the end of summer 2018. There is some controversy over what the label itself will be. The NBFDS allows for a symbol, a phrase, or even a QR code. The proposed symbol is a BE symbol made to look like a smiley face. Some are upset that this may influence consumers to believe bioengineered foods are healthier. Studies have shown there is no significant difference in the safety of GMOs and non-GMOs. The main reasoning behind the use of GMO labels is because people desire to know what is in their food. This stems from negative beliefs about the safety of GMOs for human consumption. According to a poll taken by ABC News, 52% of Americans believe GMOs are unsafe, even though there is no evidence as such. 93% believe that GMOs should be labeled, and 57% say they would be less likely to buy foods labeled as GM. There are several pros to mandatory GMO labeling. Consumers can make informed decisions about what products they choose to buy. People who choose not to consume GMO products for whatever reason can better avoid them. The labels can be used as a chance to inform the public about GMOs, whether that be the process used to create genetically modified products or the sheer amount of GM crops produced. There are also many cons to mandatory labeling. The addition of a label will require additional tests or intense tracking of products used to determine if the product meets the standards. This will cause an increase of costs incurred by the company and translate to a price increase for consumers. The label may imply that GMOs are unhealthy. The public may think that if they need to be labeled as different, then they must not be as good. The same is true of the opposite. A label such as the one pictured may lead people to believe that GMOs are healthier. There is currently a lot of uncertainty about what will require a label. If a product only needs to be labeled at a certain traceable level, then consumers may feel misinformed about what is used in their product. This would be especially true if someone was trying to avoid GMOs due to their beliefs. Volunteer labeling is not mandated by the FDA, but is still under FDA regulation. This means that all statements must be truthful. Using gluten-free is an example of volunteer labeling because it is not required by the FDA, but it provides consumers with helpful information. The Non-GMO Project is another type of volunteer labeling. The Non-GMO Project is a third-party organization that verifies products as non-GMO. In 1990, the Nutrition Label and Education Act was passed. This led to modern nutrition labels we see on all our food today. Because the National Bioengineered Disclosure Standard was passed, soon a GMO label will be just as common. The GMO label is meant to have the same effect as a nutrition label to help consumers make informed diet decisions. The USDA organic label is a certification that the process used was organic. A product can be labeled organic only if the farm or process facility has an organic certification. This simple label has led to people believing organic is healthier than normal food without doing any research. Because GMOs will be labeled, I believe this should be done one of two ways. The first way is to label every product that contains a GE crop. This would mean products would be labeled even if there is no GE DNA in the product. I believe this method would be beneficial in educating the public. Most Americans believe that GMOs are bad even though most scientists say they aren't. By putting a label on everything containing some type of GE product, people would be forced to see that they have been eating GMOs for years. It could also spur a campaign to educate people about the science behind genetic engineering and the rigorous tests products are put through before they are okayed for use. The second method is to only label products that contain more than 1% of GE DNA. The common argument against GMOs is that it is unnatural to have foreign genes in the products. With this method, a lot less products would be labeled. Most GE crops are put through a heavy refining process, such as to make oils. This results in little to no GE DNA left in the product. I personally feel that GMOs should not have to be labeled, as there is no evidence they are any less safe than non-GMO products. I especially feel that it should not be mandated when companies have the option to be verified non-GMO by using the non-GMO project verification. This would still provide consumers with options of products to buy.